What's the most important factor for any major corporation? Profits. There is no exception. What's the fastest way to increase profits? Fire a whole bunch of people. GM has found a way to easily increase productivity by simply closing a bunch of plants and firing all of the workers in them. No problem. Creating new products and services is tedious and creates an environment of uncertainty. Firing people is immediate. Don't worry about your stock though, because the market absolutely loves it when people get fired. You came here for the truth, so let me unveil that for you today. We're going to look at what has happened with General Motors. I want to talk about this today, show you the history, the bailouts they received. I've got some data to cover. It's going to be a quick video. Let's begin by taking a look at this article out of Reuters. GM to slash jobs and production, cancel some car models. General Motors will cut car production, stop building several low-selling car models, and slash its North American workforce, sources said. Now, I'm going to show you some more details in a second. Making it the biggest restructuring in North America since its bankruptcy a decade ago. This comes at a time when we have supposedly a booming economy, when we have 3.7% unemployment rate in the United States. We have a booming situation, economy's doing well, the markets are doing well supposedly, and a whole bunch of fraud about the jobs market, and yet here we are seeing a major corporation firing a whole bunch of people, getting rid of a lot of manufacturing, and this comes on top of all that retail that's closing down and all this business that has been going on not just throughout 2018 but has been going on for a while now. Look at this article out of CBC. Sources inside the government have confirmed that General Motors plant in Oshawa, Ontario is set to close. Oshawa is heavily reliant on the car manufacturers, okay? It's like the Detroit of Ontario basically. Without this, that whole area is going to plummet. It's unclear how many employees will lose their jobs since it's part of a larger global restructuring plan. In a statement, the union representing auto workers at the plant said they have not heard complete details about the overall announcement. Of course, they don't know anything until it's too late. Based on commitments made during the 2016 contract negotiations, they do not accept this announcement, and it is immediately calling on GM to live up to the spirit of that agreement. They don't care. It's about profits. It's about profits. They don't understand this clearly, and they're just going to go and do what they need to justify the amount of money that they make in this union. General Motors plans to dramatically cut production at a number of plants in the US next year and reduce its salaried workers by 15% in a massive restructuring that will cost up to $3.8 billion, the company said on Monday. Now, this would seem as bad news overall, right? This is a terrible set of information that has come out, and the stock is going to plummet, right? You think so? Hold on to that thought. Well, right here, the Detroit automaker said that plants in Ohio, Michigan, Maryland, and Ontario will be unallocated in 2019. It will cease operations at 2 additional plants outside of North America altogether by the end of the year. The company said it's going to plan to reduce its executive staff by 25%. So firing a whole bunch of people, closing those manufacturing plants, and restructuring, as they like to call it, just as they restructure debt, meaning they're taking garbage and moving it from one place to another. But here in this case, we have a company that is massive. It is giant. It employs a lot of people. And certainly it is important because all of these manufacturing jobs are well-paying jobs. If they lose manufacturing jobs, they're going to get service jobs. They're going to get temp jobs. They're going to get things that they don't really want. But hey, you got to pay the bills somehow. And that's what they do. But they're getting paid less than they were before. They don't have the benefits. They don't have everything that they used to have. And they just take what they can get. That's not really a good situation. Yes, they might be employed, but I don't really think that that's going to be good for a lot of these people that are losing their positions, that have been working there for 10, 20, 30 years and so on. This is not really good for them, but don't worry because the stock will represent that, right? Absolutely not. The stock went up by over 5%, even though they're firing 25% of the executives and they're potentially going to get rid of 15% of the rest. Now, we're looking at a massive layoff overall, a lot of people losing their jobs, and that should be negative to the stock, but it's not because productivity is increasing, profits can increase, and the stock goes up by 5% in one day. This is why this system is broken and it's garbage. This is General Motors. It's one company. They got a bailout. They supposedly paid pay their money back. We don't know what the hell they're doing. And anyway, they look at this as being a very good situation. The market shouldn't price it that way. The market shouldn't look at it that way, but that's what it does. A lot of real people are going to be hurt by what General Motors has done here. And I'm not suggesting that anything that General Motors does is good or bad or what have you. I'm just looking at the situation. They fire a whole bunch of people. That is showing us that the company is not doing well, but they fire a lot of the people that work there. Suddenly, it's a beneficial situation. That should not be the case, but that's how it is. Let's go back into the pages of history just a moment here, where you can see what happened during the bailout. And General Motors planned to invest $1 billion into Brazil operations. That's what they did. They built plants in Brazil, in China, in different areas around the world where that bailout money, it says it right here in this article, the bailout money was used to build these plants in these foreign areas. And that's great for the people who live in Brazil and other places, but not good for the manufacturing jobs that could have been built in the United States, in Canada, in places where they're actually being used. That's not what's going on. They build them really cheaply overseas, they ship them in, and this is yet another example of the deteriorating manufacturing, the deteriorating real economy that is going on right now inside of these nations like the United States, Canada, Australia, and UK, and so on. These places here cannot be sustained under the current environment simply by bailing out corporations at their decision, but they will do whatever they want. They're always going to be able to get their way. With these big companies, they have their people in power. They're always deciding what's going to happen, but you, the little guy, are always getting screwed over. You're never going to get what you want because they're in control. They control this whole system from the technocratic elite at the top of the food chain that we can see, and it goes down below that. The politicians, they're all being controlled by these individuals. The biggest companies out there have their men in positions of power, and we're not allowed to know what goes on behind the scenes. But I could tell you something right now. It's not looking good for the future. But apparently, the stock market likes to price things on a topsy-turvy environment. So you can do what you want with that information. I'm going to leave it there. If you found this video informative, please give me a thumbs up. When you give me a thumbs up, you're supporting this channel. So I do appreciate that very much. And last but not least, if you want the financial education, you were not taught in school, these two books have it all. You can get all the details you need at the link in the description below if you want the audiobook instead. That's available at themoneygps.com.